And it looked like Sophie Cunningham opens up about Kelsey Plum speaking on Caitlin Clark managing her all-star team.
The WNBA just witnessed one of the most explosive call-outs in league history, and it's sending shockwaves through every locker room, front office, and social media feed across women's basketball. Sophie Cunningham, the fearless guard from Missouri, just dropped a truth bomb, so devastating that it's left players scrambling, fans cheering, and the entire league questioning every...
Kelsey Plum with the chirp?
Why?
I don't know, dude.
Why?
Not to tattletale, but 0 members of Team Clark were very present for that.
I hate that because, like, this is what we've always wanted as a league. So, like, who cares who gets the credit? And if you're smart, you're making money off of them.
Yeah.
Like, you are literally...
They thought they knew about loyalty, leadership, and what it really means to support your sport's biggest star. What started as a routine podcast episode has turned into the most talked about moment of the season, with Sophie pulling back the curtain on behind-the-scenes drama that most players would never dare to expose. And at the center of it all, Kelsey Plum's controversial actions toward Caitlin Clark that have finally pushed someone to speak out with the kind of raw honesty that's been missing from this league for far too long. Sophie Cunningham isn't just another voice in the crowd. This Missouri native has built her reputation on being straightforward, no nonsense.
Sophie Cunningham is from Missouri. Now, if you guys didn't know, Sophie Cunningham has a new podcast, and I'm telling you right now, she's already getting big-time buzz around the WNBA. In one of the latest episodes, she spoke about none other than the Kelsey Plum situation involving Caitlin Clark at this year's All-Star Game.
And completely unafraid to call out what others won't even whisper about. When she launched her podcast, Show Me Something, nobody expected it to become the platform where one of the WNBA's most explosive revelations would unfold. But that's exactly what happened, and the ripple effects are still being felt across the basketball world. The timing couldn't be more perfect or more telling. Here's a player who's watched from the inside as the league has struggled with its relationship to Caitlin Clark, the phenomenon who's single-handedly transformed women's basketball from a niche sport to must-see television.
It literally, like, pisses me off when people are like, she's not the face of the league.
Who would be?
What?
Sabrina? No.
No, there's really good, well-known people in our league. I'm not discrediting them. Like, we have a lot of badasses in our league.
Yeah.
Like, hell yeah to that. I'm all for that. But when people try to argue that she's not the face of our league,
Yeah.
or if our league would be where we're at without her, you're dumb as
Yeah.
While others have danced around the obvious truth, Sophie decided it was time to strip away the corporate speak and political correctness that's been strangling honest conversation in the WNBA. What makes Sophie's perspective so powerful is her authenticity. This isn't some calculated media strategy or carefully crafted PR move. This is a player who's witnessed the league's weird obsession with downplaying Clark's impact, even as every arena fills up and every television rating soars whenever she touches the court. Sophie sees what everyone else sees but refuses to acknowledge. Caitlin Clark is the obvious reason everyone's watching, and pretending otherwise is not just dishonest, it's damaging to the sport itself.
Teammates, arguably one of the biggest stars the WNBA's ever
Who's that?
had. Her name rhymes with Schmaitland.
Hurtland?
Yeah. What has that been like, seeing her not only kind of transform a league, but also just be like,
No,
is that fair to say? Okay.
Not even just the league, but like
The
women's
sport?
basketball
Yeah.
as a whole around the
Yeah.
world. No, I think it's awesome. I think it's so funny because she's like 22, 23 years old and the whole world is watching her.
Yeah.
Like it is a cult following. I'm not kidding.
No, it's wild.
Like, it
the
is
airport today,
insane.
it was like 22 everywhere.
Anywhere you go, like it is a home game wherever we play. Like
No
she
way.
security with her 24.
The numbers don't lie. And Sophie's podcast success proves there's a massive appetite for this kind of honest discussion. When your first episode pulls in 250,000 views, that's not just impressive for WNBA content. That's impressive, period. It tells you that fans are absolutely starving for someone to cut through the noise and actually talk about what's happening instead of feeding them sanitized sound bites that say nothing. But it's what Sophie revealed about the All-Star Game that's really got everyone's attention. This wasn't secondhand gossip or media speculation. Sophie was there. She saw what went down. And she had the courage to expose what really happened when Kelsey Plum tried to orchestrate her little power.
We didn't, at least as players, we didn't know that was going to happen. So I think it was kind of like a genuine surprise. But the T-shirt, just United Front, was determined this morning that we had a meeting for, and not to tattletale, but 0 members of Team Clark were very present for that. But no, we were just we had a very
that really needed to be mentioned.
I'm trying to make a situation light, okay? But yeah, no, I think it was just all of us getting on the same page for the game. We wanted to do something that was just united and collective, and I thought that.
The image of team meetings happening without any of Clark's teammates present tells you everything you need to know about how manufactured this drama really was. Think about that for a second. Here you have the league's biggest star, the player who's brought unprecedented attention and revenue to women's basketball, and her own teammates aren't even included in discussions about team unity. That's not leadership, that's exclusion disguised as strategy. And Sophie called it exactly what it was. A setup designed to make Kelsey look like some kind of voice of reason, while undermining the very person who's elevated everyone's profile. The All-Star game itself became this bizarre spectacle where the league couldn't decide whether to embrace or diminish Clark's impact. Fans voted her in as a starter in her rookie year, which should have been celebrated as proof of her incredible connection with the audience. Instead, it became another opportunity for certain players to create unnecessary drama and try to control a narrative that was already perfectly clear to anyone paying attention. What's even more frustrating is how obvious the business case should be. Sophie nailed it when she pointed out that smart players are making money off Caitlyn's viewership. This isn't some abstract concept or feel-good philosophy. This is cold, hard economic reality. The WNBA has been struggling for visibility and financial stability for decades, operating at a loss while fighting for scraps of media attention and corporate sponsorship. Then suddenly, like a gift from the basketball gods, they get this transcendent talent who brings massive crowds, television ratings, and mainstream media coverage everywhere she goes. The natural response from any rational person would be gratitude, excitement, and a determination to build on that success. Instead, too many players and league officials have treated Clark's popularity like some kind of threat to be managed rather than an opportunity to be maximized. The attendance numbers tell the whole story. Games featuring Caitlin Clark consistently draw significantly larger crowds than games without her. Television ratings spike whenever she's playing. Social media engagement explodes around her performances. These aren't opinions or subjective judgments. These are measurable facts that should make everyone in the league ecstatic about their good fortune. But instead of embracing this unprecedented success, you have players like Kelsey Plum getting caught up in ego-driven power struggles that serve no one's interests. The rising tides lift all boats. Principle seems to be completely lost on players who are so focused on protecting their own perceived status that they can't see the bigger picture of what Clark's success means for everyone. Sophie's willingness to call out this backwards thinking is exactly what the league needs more of. When she talks about players being smart enough to capitalize on the viewership Caitlyn brings, she's not throwing shade, she's stating facts. Everyone benefits when the sport gets more attention, more revenue, and more mainstream credibility. Fighting that success because it doesn't fit your preferred narrative is self-sabotaging behavior that hurts every single person in the league. The reaction to Sophie's comments has been incredibly telling. Fans are finally hearing someone in the league acknowledge what they've been seeing all along, and the response has been overwhelmingly positive. Comment sections are filled with people expressing relief that finally someone with actual credibility is speaking the truth instead of feeding them corporate-approved nonsense. Meanwhile, the silence from other players speaks volumes. Usually when someone makes controversial statements in the WNBA, you get immediate responses, clarifications, and counter-arguments. But Sophie's observations have been met with telling quiet from the very people who should be defending their positions. That silence suggests they know exactly how accurate her assessment really is. What makes Sophie's perspective even more valuable is that she's not playing favorites or protecting personal relationships. When she called out Nafisa Collier for making negative comments about the Clark situation, she showed she's willing to criticize players regardless of where they're from or what connections they might have. That's the kind of honest evaluation the league desperately needs more of. The contrast between how Sophie's team handles adversity versus how certain players handle Caitlin's success is striking. When Sophie talks about her teammates coming together during difficult moments and trusting each other under pressure, it highlights exactly what's been missing from the broader league conversation. Real leaders welcome talent and success because they understand it makes everyone better. Instead, too many veteran players have acted like jealous teenagers, creating manufactured drama around someone who should be celebrated as the best thing to happen to women's basketball in years. It's embarrassing behavior from players who should be mentoring and supporting the next generation, not trying to tear down someone whose success benefits everyone. The fear driving these negative reactions is obvious once you look beneath the surface. Fear that Caitlin is changing established hierarchies. Fear that she's getting attention that was previously distributed differently. Fear that the old ways of doing things aren't working anymore. But that fear is preventing players from seeing the incredible opportunity that's sitting right in front of them. Sophie's analysis goes beyond just individual player behavior to highlight systemic issues with how the league approaches success and star power. When she talks about the need for authentic communication and better execution, she's really talking about the league's failure to capitalize on the biggest opportunity in its history. The most powerful part of Sophie's message is her emphasis on honesty over politics. In a league that's often been criticized for prioritizing image management over authentic discussion, her willingness to speak directly about what she's witnessed provides a refreshing alternative to the usual corporate speak that fans have learned to tune out. What Sophie Cunningham has done with these revelations goes far beyond exposing one incident or calling out individual players. She's opened up a conversation about what the WNBA could be if more people were willing to embrace success instead of fighting it, support stars instead of undermining them, and focus on building something bigger instead of protecting personal territory. The WNBA is at a crossroads, and Sophie's courage in speaking truth to power might be exactly what's needed to push the league toward its enormous potential. Her podcast success proves that authenticity resonates with fans who are tired of manufactured drama and ready for honest leadership. Whether the league will listen to her message or continue down the path of self-sabotaging behavior remains to be seen, but one thing is certain: Sophie Cunningham has given everyone a blueprint for what real leadership looks like in women's basketball.